Welcome to the Holo Health Podcast, where our mission is to help you become truly healthy. We believe that health has many parts, and when we understand true health, we can experience freedom. Each episode features a practical conversation where we look to make health both simple and clear. I'm Trevor Deal, one of your hosts, and I'm excited for today's episode where we interview former CrossFit Games athlete Brandon Luckett about his life, where he is now, and how health is more than just physical. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of the Holo Health Podcast. And instead of you having to listen to just Alex and myself have a conversation, we have a special guest, 3 times CrossFit Games athlete, Mr. Brandon Luckett. Brandon, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're excited for today's episode, and we're just going to kick it off with asking you to share with the listeners more about who you are, personal background, family, where you live. Obviously, probably talk about the games a little bit and anything else you want to share.
Yeah, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I grew up in a small town outside of Baton Rouge, but I went to high school, went to college, all in Baton Rouge. Went to Houston for 2 years for graduate school at the University of Texas at MD Anderson, and then did 2 years of residency in Oklahoma. And during all of that time of undergraduate, graduate, and residency, I competed in CrossFit. Ended up competing in the games 3 times in 18, 20, and 21. And kind of took a step away from that now to focus on business, family, and make sure that those things aren't suffering, because the CrossFit never really supported my wife and I. And so I just needed to make sure that I focused on those other things that really held a lot of importance, but never let my fitness take a back seat. With that being said, so yeah, it's me and my wife and my family, aside from my parents, siblings, all of which are pretty much into fitness as well. Raised Catholic. So if we're, I know one of the things y'all mentioned was y'all's devote attention to your faith. And so I was raised Catholic, and I love going to church, love praying. And I try to keep that at a center of my life, because I think that keeps me grounded, keeps me and my wife grounded, and keeps us kind of focused on the bigger picture of things. So that's holistically kind of, I guess, a little bit who I am.
Yeah. Brandon. So listeners, also, I'm here too. I know Trevor, he only introduced Brandon. He didn't introduce me, but it's okay. No hard
They can
feelings.
just assume that you're on the episode.
I'm always here, guys. Don't worry. Brandon, tell us a little bit about your fitness journey. Like, do you remember who got you into CrossFit, your first CrossFit workout, what that felt emotion was, and then what year was that? And take us on the journey on, your life has probably changed since you found CrossFit. Take us on that journey really quick.
Yeah. Well, if you want to know where fitness started for me, it started way before CrossFit. I love my dad. He's one of the most influential people in my life, but he's the one who got me into exercising by a little bit of a shaming, we'll call it.
Okay.
I was probably in I was in 6th grade. So I was 13 years old, maybe 12 years old. And one summer he looks at me and goes, "Brandon, you're getting kind of chunky."
Dang, Dad.
And I I take criticism pretty poorly. It's good for me, but I take it pretty poorly. And I was like, I'm never getting called chunky again. I started running, kind of stopped eating, started doing Navy SEAL calisthenic videos that my parents had that were still on VHS.
So this is in 6th grade.
I lost 26 pounds in 6th grade.
Goodness.
Yeah. I went from, I think I was 110 or 112 pounds whenever I got called chunky. And I got down to I think my lowest after that was 86 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, I bet you didn't even have weight to lose. You probably were.
I was just a normal kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a normal kid.
Going through puberty in middle school.
Yeah, just a little bit of that baby fat on me. And I was like,
sure.
You know what? I'm not taking that. So I lost all of it, man. And then stunning my growth. Ended up having to get put on growth hormone because I stopped growing. But that's where, my work ethic in terms of exercise kind of started. But it wasn't a very healthy relationship, right? As a very young kid, I was very conscious of like, I always thought I wasn't comfortable with like the man in the mirror, right? Once I got to high school, I mean, I was completely devoted to wrestling. Wrestled for 8 years, 4 years before high school, 4 years through high school is the only thing I really cared about. And again, that's a rough relationship with food there because you cut weight. It only took me 2 years of high school wrestling to say I'm not doing that anymore. Cut pretty hard my sophomore year, but then after that, junior and senior, I didn't really cut much. I had a much better relationship with like how I could eat and fuel my body and stay lean, but fueled and, train for the love of training. I loved training for wrestling. I'd wake up and run or do calisthenics in the morning, go to practice. When I got home, I'd either run again or do more calisthenics or like push my truck up and down the street with my dad. So he would just steer it while I pushed it.
No big deal. Just pushing your truck up and down. Yeah. That's what we do, Trevor, right?
Just an F-250. Just
just trying to just trying to get better. And then after high school, decided I was going to get a degree in physics. Knew that wasn't going to be an easy thing to do. And so I said, not wrestling anymore, just focus on school. I'll still exercise because I promised myself I'll never get out of shape again. So I'm just going to exercise for the fun of it. My brother got me into CrossFit then. His roommate in New Orleans, he and his roommate were at Tulane in New Orleans, and they do CrossFit every now and then together. And then he kind of got into it more and more. He's like, I really think you'd love it. And I think the first workout we did together was Murph. Yeah, with like strict pull-ups because
yeah, you couldn't kip on the first one.
No kipping
exactly.
on the first one.
Which, so I was definitely doing like sets of like 4 on strict pull-ups at some point in there, But I think that was the first like CrossFit workout he'd ever done with me. And he'd give me like wall balls and like burpees every now and then and stuff. And then he ended up going to the gym that was, it's just a few blocks from the house we lived at in Baton Rouge, Red Stick CrossFit, and joined up there like right after my senior year, pretty much. And just the first time I did it, I got beat by every single person in the class. Right? It was like running and deadlifts and like double unders or kettlebell swings and double unders, and I just got like smoked. And I was like, this is awesome, like that people in, like men and women in their 50s smoking me in this CrossFit workout. I was like, I'm not fit. I was like, I need to do this, And then I love like the competitive aspect of it because it kind of filled that void that I knew I didn't have anymore from wrestling. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not competing in this. I'm just doing it because it's really cool. Well, sure enough, I did a couple of local competitions with like my brother, and then ended up on like a regionals team my first year doing CrossFit.
What year was that, Brandon?
Like 2013. So regionals would have been in 2014. I graduated in 2013. The team would have been the 2014 regionals. So long time ago. But yeah, I got my L1. I was sweeping the floors at the gym for free membership. I was coaching there while I was going to classes and whatnot, and just kind of fell in love with it. There's a couple people in like the local space that I really looked up to, especially like some of the guys at our gym, the gym owner, and another gentleman, Alex Baranich, who was there, who like, they were just leaps and bounds better. And I was like, I want to be like them. So I worked really hard and eventually I got like them, that's like the beauty of some of these aspects of life, you see like the value in the hard work, and you see how it changes you and your life around you. And I think that's one of the things that I just absolutely love about like physical training, as much as mental training. My laptop's sitting on a book called The Essential Physics of Medical Imaging. Like I get the same kind of joy of like studying that and being able to apply it to my job as I do of like training and applying those same aspects of like the physicality into my life. And I think that's the beauty in like pushing the boundaries of your holistic being, your fitness, your mind, your soul. I think we have a responsibility to always be grinding at trying to be a better human in all 3 of those aspects. And they complement each other, right? And so like we were kind of saying before we started recording, I believe a lot of people tend to focus on one of those, and they get very good at the books their career, or they get very good at being a family man or woman and tending to the needs of their family and their community and their church, or they're a fitness junkie. But maybe I'm not saying like everyone does this, but maybe sometimes they neglect those other areas because they just find so much value in that one pillar, and then they kind of forget the value of those other pillars that can add to their life and their family.
That's good.
And so I truly believe we have a responsibility to continuously kind of like prop up those pillars and build on them.
That's really good. We say all the time here at Whole Health, and the listeners are probably like, yeah, I've heard it before, is that health is not a problem to solve, it's attention to manage. Meaning, like you said, there's different pillars, body, mind, soul, or physical, mental, emotional, relational, spiritual, that when you just focus on one, that's a problem to solve. Because a problem is just 2 + 2 = 4. There's one solution, but attention has a couple different parts that need to be tended to. And that's the beauty of humanity, the way God made us, is that we're a body, we're a mind, and we're a soul. And then when we only focus on one, like you said, the church element, the community aspect, the businessman, the books, the fitness, that you're prioritizing one and you're not balancing the balance really well. And we believe that there's a better way forward, that you can actually balance that in a much healthier way that rises the tides in all of it. Would you agree?
I think it's necessary. I don't think it's an option. I think.
Well said.
I believe that, like I said, we have a responsibility to work on all three of those things, and I think they're necessary for a healthy life. And that's a hard task to manage, right? How do you exercise every day while studying and like improving your mind, while going to work and going to church every week and praying every night and tending to all your needs of your family? And that's a lot. But I think you find that the more you pay attention to each one of those things, the more you tend to optimize your time. You stop wasting it, and your time becomes very valuable, but also very fruitful.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We could have a whole episode on that. Brandon, take a minute or two and talk to us about from 2014 to 2018 when you made the games, and just give us like the quick little, because the point of this conversation is not all about the games, but that is a cool achievement that you should be given a spotlight and attention towards. So tell us a little bit about that journey, then we'll kind of keep going with our conversation.
So like I said, I got into CrossFit because I love like the competition aspect of it, but I didn't really foresee like competing on like a large scale for like 3 weeks. And I was like, I kind of like this, and I was 170 pounds. I had no weightlifting background. I had a good like aerobic base from wrestling, but I had a really good work ethic. And so I just hammered away at things I was bad at and got incrementally better every year, as is the story of most people. This is like the incremental improvements. And in 2016 or 2017, I guess 2016, I met Alexis Johnson, who was a games athlete at the time, while I was on an internship in Houston for a few months. She was training for the games. I was looking for a place to train, found her gym, and then started training with her. And it's like, sometimes you're around those people and they make you realize that there's a whole nother level that you didn't think was possible. Like the amount of time she put into training, the amount of attention she paid it, the amount of pain she was willing to suffer, you didn't really think was possible until you witnessed it. And then it kind of opens up like a whole new realm of like possibility. It's like, okay, she's like just a normal person. She was working on a math PhD at Rice University at the time. And she was going to the CrossFit Games. It was like, okay, she just showed me how to do it. All I got to do is emulate, And sometimes that's what we do. We're emulating human beings are very good at emulating, right?
Trevor, is that your story when you met me, that you're just trying to emulate this next level of fitness that you never knew you could tap into?
Whatever floats your boat.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, Brandon, keep going.
No, you're good. So she kind of showed me what I needed to do. So I brought that home with me for a year in my senior year of college, and ended up qualifying for regionals as an individual that year. Placed 7th in my first regional as an individual, and it was the first year they took 5 to the games. And I was like, dang, if I got a little better next year, maybe I could be on the podium.
Yeah.
Ended up getting accepted to the same grad school I did my internship at. So I ended up back in Houston. where I connected with Alexis Johnson again, as well as Travis Williams, who had been to the games a few times, and trained with them whenever I could, took care of my studies, and ended up qualifying for the CrossFit Games that year in Salt Lake City in 2018. And yeah, so that was the first year I qualified. And again, it was just like those little increments of improvement year after year, watching yourself climb from 1000th in the open in your region to 500 to 250 to 100 to 27th, then the third, or it's whatever, it was just like, I worked very hard at it, but I also loved the work. It's hard to see results whenever you hate the process.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's kind of essential, if someone's like, well, I never have any intentions of getting to the games, but I want to be healthy, and you don't find a way of being physically capable that you love, well, it's going to be very hard to get results there. So you have to find something you enjoy, even if it's, if it's hiking or, obstacle course race, whatever it might be that you truly love and can find like a passion for, martial arts, maybe, or whatever it is that allows you to build on that pillar of physical health is, one of the things that you got to find out for yourself, and it takes like a little bit of journey,
That's good.
Brandon, I think that you shared something that I think is important, and Alex and I, along with several other people that are in the health and wellness industry, understand, is that incremental change is a big part of how people can see results, how people can improve not just their body, but their mind, their soul, as we were talking about earlier. And so, you are at a point in your life where you're outside of your games training and that season of life. And now, like you mentioned, you're focused on still physical training and improving your physical fitness because that's important to you and your overall holistic health. So talk about some daily habits or rhythms that you have regarding to your health, because I think it's important for the listeners to hear that outside of, maybe someone who's finished with their season of the games, and how those incremental habits or daily habits are impactful. Yeah.
Well, to me, it comes down to like prioritizing things. I was just having a conversation with my wife recently. And she's like, I've got to work. I want to exercise again today, because she's trying to do like 2-a-day training. I got to walk the dog. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to clean the kitchen. Like, Kristen, you've got to prioritize. Your work has to take priority. So finish what you got to do in work. And then what's priority after that? Maybe it's walking the dog, or maybe it's getting your second 30 minutes of training. So do that next, and then just go down the list. So that's how I approach my life. And so I wake up pretty early every morning. I don't like to sleep in. That alarm clock goes off at 5 or 5:30 almost every morning. And immediately I get to working. So maybe it's doing like physics reports, or maybe it's studying or reading or stretching, something productive first thing in the morning. And then hopefully that gives me enough time to get in a little exercise before I have to go to work. Sometimes I leave for work at 4:30 a.m. and waking up at 2 a.m. is just not going to be beneficial for me the rest of the day. So at that point, I would be not optimizing. So I would sleep through as long as I can, but get out of the door at 4:30 a.m. And on those days, I always finish work up early. So now it's back to, how do I prioritize that? I'll go to the gym, get my workout in, go home, take care of what's got to get done there. But I like, geez, that's supposed to be on airplane mode. I'm sorry.
I couldn't hear
it. So prioritizing, like, my exercise, I promised myself a long time ago that at a bare minimum, I would get 30 minutes of work every day, like in terms of fitness, which is kind of where the Imam Company was born. And no matter how busy life got, I know I could always find like 30 minutes anywhere, any time of day, to get my heart rate up, to get like the blood moving, to get some sort of fitness training in.
Yeah.
And then, the things that you can control, you can't always control your work. Sometimes your boss or your schedule just takes you somewhere, but you can control what you're eating, right? So I try to control my diet as much as possible, try to eat really clean, whole foods. So I always cook my own breakfast, always cook my own lunch, always cook my own dinner, pretty much every day. And I eat cold ground beef and cold sweet potatoes in the car. But to me, that's a priority. It is not a priority that the food is, tastefully satisfying to me. It's that it's priority that it nourishes me and fuels me and makes me healthy. So, like those are, with my job, there's no rhythm anymore. I'm home for like 7 days in May because I'm traveling for work the rest of the month. And, sometimes I wake up at 4:30 a.m. to get out of the door to get to somewhere for 6 a.m. and I'm done at 11. And sometimes I don't start until 5:30 p.m. and I don't finish till 9. Like there is no more rhythm.
Sure.
But those priorities that I hold in, I know how to make those fit. And so as like on a rolling average, I'm trying to prioritize every day and optimize every day with the things that I can control, what I'm putting in my body, what I'm putting in my mind, what time I can go to bed, what time I can wake up. Can I get in the gym? I'll make that time. Am I spending time with my wife where I don't have the phone next to me, or I'm not answering calls, or I'm not working? You have to prioritize those things too. And so it's kind of like every minute I'm looking at, am I doing what ought to be done, or am I wasting the minute that I've gotten right now?
Yeah.
So
dude, you are preaching so much gold. I mean, we use the language prioritize priorities, which seems redundant, but you're using that word repetitively, priorities, because people will say, oh yeah, fitness is a priority, health is a priority, but really look at your schedule and look at your checkbook, and those are your priorities, right? Where you're saying, hey, I don't have any consistent rhythms anymore, whether I work from 4 a.m. to 11 or 5:30 to 9. I still know what my priorities are, and whether I need to shift them in the morning to afternoon, you're still making those a priority. And that's going to lead you to the truest, healthiest self possible. Which, I mean, we could talk about that all day. Brandon, you mentioned the Imam company. Tell us all about that.
Yeah. So I made the decision probably in December not to compete anymore. I started working for my father's company. I now own a small stake in it, and I want zero excuses for why I can't perform the way I need to there. It holds priority. And so my intention was to train this year, try to get a little stronger, and come back next year and try to compete. And with work, it just didn't seem like that was going to be possible. The amount of attention that is required to qualify for the CrossFit Games is substantial. And I didn't have that kind of time anymore. And I wasn't going to do it halfway if I was going to do it. I wanted to be sure that I did everything I could to qualify. And that didn't seem like it was going to happen for me. And so around December, made a decision not to do that anymore. And I found it hard to follow the program I used to follow, because I was looking at people's times that, are competitive, and like that competitive mindset just got in me, and I would get down or anxious about it, like anxious about a score, and I'm not competing anymore. And so I was like, this isn't worth it. And then I was trying to figure out how to optimize my time in the gym. And whenever I did compete, there'd be days again where I'd get home at like 6 p.m. Like, all right, I got 30 minutes to get in as much training as possible. And I'll throw together EMOMs. I'd usually pair a weightlifting, like a little body weight conditioning or like gymnastic piece, and then a machine. I'd pick a number of calories, number of reps, load, or whatever, and I'd rotate them, one every minute. So it ended up being like 10 rounds. So I'd get my conditioning, I'd get gymnastics, and I'd get lifting all in 30 minutes, and I'd be spent at the end of it. And it seemed to be very efficient for me. Well, whenever I stopped competing, I was like, how can I be efficient? I started throwing in these 30-minute EMOMs again. And my brother-in-law was doing one with me. He's like, man, I really need to do these more often. Like, they kicked my butt. I never really trained this time domain anymore, and I really loved it. I was kind of thinking about starting like a little Instagram journal of just, writing the workouts out, giving them to people, so that if they're like me and they're business and family oriented, but they don't want to sacrifice that priority of fitness, they can still do it in like 30 minutes. And it's pretty much, you only need one to get like pretty dang fit in it, like once a day, I started doing that, and people kind of joined in with it, and someone suggested that I maybe start like a daily program. I was like, if we're going to do that, we should probably provide something that everyone can do anywhere, anytime. So if you've got access to the CrossFit gym, we have like the functional fitness pathway where you use barbells, use sandbags, pull-up bar, pull-up like gymnastics rings, like all like the whole like CrossFit gambit. We've also got 5 workouts a week that are just 2 dumbbells, 1 kettlebell, 1 box, and a jump rope. You can do those in your garage. If you don't have thousands of dollars to deck out your garage, but you've got $500, you can follow the minimal track and get it done even when you can't get to the gym. We took it one step further and said maybe people can't even do that 5 days a week, but maybe most of the time they can do it. But maybe they're on the road and they just don't have access to any equipment, maybe 2 days a week. So we'll provide 2 of 30-minute EMOMs every week with just body weight. And we saw it as a way to take away the fear of not having the time or the equipment, and to give you the opportunity to prioritize your fitness in 30 minutes, any day, anywhere. Because that's what I promised myself. I said 30 minutes of really hard work every single day for the rest of my life will be a minimum, right? And so we just rolled it out, and we've gotten some pretty good feedback so far. And it's a bit of a different training modality, right? A lot of CrossFit is very like competition oriented. How many reps can I do? How heavy of the load can I do? How many rounds can I do in a given amount of time? Or how fast can I do this? And this kind of takes away that desire to be better than other people, and instead gives you a goal of, can I finish this workout? If I've completed it, I can check off that box today and not worry about my performance. You don't have to worry about, well, Joe got 2 reps better than me. I thought I was better than Joe.
That's a good point.
No, you did 150 kettlebell swings, 100 burpees, and you rode 100 calories. You got a ton of work in, of really good quality work. You kept your heart rate elevated for a full 30 minutes, and you've done like a massive volume of work in just 30 minutes. And now you can be satisfied with your day. You can feel really good. It's an effective time domain because you're not breaking it up into like different, you're not spending an hour doing a 15-minute workout. You're spending 30 minutes doing a 30-minute workout.
I love that.
So just, to me, it became very efficient and allowed me to prioritize. And like, I mean, I've lost 17 pounds since I said I'd stop competing, just doing like 1 or 2 of these a day. And like, I'm just like, I eat well. I've like kind of like obviously something that's like going to be muscle loss. That's okay. I'm not competing anymore. I don't need a clean and jerk 340 pounds anymore because quite frankly, that's maybe not optimizing my health. I need to be capable. I need to be strong. I need to be physically capable. I need to have good cardiorespiratory endurance, and I want to feel good all day. And so just doing 1 or 2 of these every day, I've leaned up a good bit. I lost 17 pounds. I enjoy the workouts. I don't have to think about like the competitive aspect, because that was really big for me for a while. And yeah, just like I really enjoy it. It's pretty much the only mode of training that I revert to now.
What's the vision with the EMOM company? Like, where do you want to take it?
That's a good question. I think we'll let the community decide that, right? We're providing a service. We're providing a service for people to, get back that fitness in their lifestyle and do it anywhere. And if we can do a good job of that, and people can remain engaged with their physicality of their life, and they can enjoy it, if they can have fun, if they can find the value in it, and they find success in it, then we want to keep doing it. And if that allows it to grow, then we want it to grow. But if we don't do a good job of providing a service that people love, then if it crashes and burns, that's probably the best for everyone, right? Because it doesn't need to be there if it's not providing a service.
I love that. Huge fan. I've done a couple, but I'm going to start incorporating the 30-minute EMOMs into my training a little bit more, just to get a little bit more fit that regard. But I love that.
Here's the thing, Brandon. After I came on the scene, he realized that he could probably drop a little bit of weight because he's so strong. He's got so much muscle. His EMOMs are definitely going to pop in. I'm actually going to do one after this for my 30 minutes today. Don't have a lot of time, so
there you go. Tag it.
I'll tag you.
Imam Co.
Let's go.
Brandon, I just love hearing about that, and I love connecting. We connected on social media for the listeners, just so you can kind of, be up to speed. And I actually ran kind of a personal fitness account called Deal With It, and just a funny play on words. But I through that connected with Alex, and then later connected with Brandon at the Imam Company. And it's just cool to see a lot of different people who are preaching the same message and really trying to walk alongside people and encourage them in their health and wellness journey. We talk about incremental change. We're talking about, how relatable is it, Brandon, now that you can talk about basically I have no rhythm, because I know sometimes I feel like that. Alex does as well, along with all other of our listeners or just people around. Not everybody has the structure of, I wake up, I train 6-7 hours for the games, and I go back and take care of my body and go to sleep. It's just not a normal lifestyle. So I love to hear that. And as we're kind of winding down, Brandon, we want to talk about health and wellness. And there's a lot of misconceptions that the industry throws, culture throws at people, at us, in varying pockets or based on where your experience is. So I'd love to hear a common myth or struggle that, from your perspective, you see many people making or experiencing.
Man, there's so many. The one that comes to mind is that it requires an incredibly strict or fun zapped lifestyle. You can't eat the foods you want. You can't go to you can't have the alcohol. It requires an adjustment. It should be a challenge. Life's not really meant to be the easy way out and what's most convenient. It's supposed to be what's best for you. And so it might require you to stop eating so much fast food or fried food, or not drink so much on the weekends or whatever, in order for you to attain a healthier lifestyle. It might require you to wake up a little earlier and get your body moving. And those things are challenging, but what you find is that so much more of your life falls into place and becomes valuable and becomes something where you're feeling good all the time, not just when you're eating comfort foods and not just when you got a buzz on. Instead, you feel good all the time because you're living out a purpose. The second part of that is that a lot of people are looking for the quick fix. They so badly want to attain the results without the work that's required that they're not willing to put in a good amount of effort and fail trying. Instead, they'd rather have the assurity that this quick fix will work, which is why weight loss surgery is so popular. It's guaranteed to make you lose weight. It's a quick fix, but you've not fixed anything else in your life. And so you find that nothing else is actually improved other than the number on the scale, and probably only for a temporary amount of time, because you haven't fixed the things in your life that really need to be changed. Eating quality, whole, nutritious foods, moving your body every day, and taking care of your mind, body, and spirit. Those things will lead to a more fulfilling and happier lifestyle. And so those are the two things that probably strike me with most people. We want it now. We want it easy. We're afraid to fail. And I'm afraid that if I do fix all the things that are maybe necessary, that I'm going to hate my life. Instead, you'll find that it's much more worthwhile than it was before.
So Brandon, let's say you're standing at a CrossFit gym of 200-300 people at an event, and we just talked about all those things, and our audience are those people who want quick fixes. They want it easy. They don't want to suffer. They don't want to what do you tell those people? Because honestly, they're listening right now. I'm listening. We're all listening because we're all human. We can relate in some capacity, some more than others. But what is your your go-to piece of advice or encouragement regarding that?
Yeah. You have to do what you love, right? Which is, I think, why the quick fix is the appealing one, because they haven't found a way to be healthy that they truly love. And so I don't believe life is meant to be the easy way out. I think we're meant to do challenging things. And not much of life is meant to be really comfortable. It's meant to be challenging and fulfilling. And so the true answer is it's going to be a battle for you to change something in your life. It's very challenging to go from being a couch potato to someone who goes to a CrossFit gym 5 days a week.
That's a good point.
But it's insanely worthwhile, and you will be much happier the other 23 hours of the day
Yes.
than you would have otherwise. That time spent wasted in front of the television when you could be improving one of the pillars of your life is a necessity.
Yes.
And will improve all aspects of your life. And so I feel bad for the mindset of that sounds difficult. Yes. And it ought to be difficult. Every day should be a conscious decision to do something challenging and hard. Every day should not be a vacation. You know, it shouldn't be the easy way out. It ought to be the challenging path that is helpful for you, that serves others, and that serves Christ. Like those are the things that you should do daily. And so I think it's a hard answer to give because it might not be the answer that people want.
Yep.
But also know that there are a lot of people that can help you through that pathway, who want to help you through that pathway. One of the things that we do is serve others. Like we're put on this earth to serve others. And serving is also a challenge. It's hard to put yourself second and help someone make headway in this life, but we're meant to do that. And so you have to find those people who can help you. I found a CrossFit gym, and I was, nervous to do that first class, and I got my butt whooped, but I kept going back and I kept making those incremental changes. They didn't all come at once. It took me 5 years to qualify for the CrossFit Games. It took me 8 years to finish my academics so that I could work for my father. Worthwhile things take worthwhile time.
Brandon, that's amazing. Life's a battle worth fighting, and your health is a battle worth fighting. And one thing I love that I'll just reiterate that you said, Brandon, is the desire and need for us to be able to serve other people. And I love how you've kind of been talking about throughout this whole episode, when we pursue these different areas of our health, our body, mind, our soul, we're fueled up, we're capable, we're purpose driven and filled to be able to serve other people. And I know you would agree, the three of us could sit here and talk all day how when we pursue the best version of ourselves in each of those areas of health, I'm better able to give to my bride, my work, my training, other people, etc. So, man, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Trevor, let me just say one thing too. What you were just saying is not only do we pursue health to serve other people, but think about the people who did it themselves and it served us. Think about the way that they've changed our lives. Like my life is forever changed because my small group leader in middle school and high school said, hey, you would like this thing called CrossFit. And then he took me and he drove me and then they coached me. And then they changed my life because of something they were pursuing in a healthy way themselves. So
that's good.
Yes, I'm able to love and empower others because of what people have done for me. And that's the beauty of some of the things that we do through Whole Health Imam Company, pursuing a truly healthy life, is now we get to be those people that when they think back to their health journey, they're like, man, there was this guy named Brandon and I was on the couch. I hated my life. I felt overweight. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, but I saw this thing called the Imam Company. I kind of connect with him. And literally that was the catalyst that I needed to change my life, which whether that's just from a physical standpoint, soul standpoint, whatever, but we're talking about more than just fitness. We're talking about life change, which is the integration between body, mind, and soul. So we could keep talking about it, but I just wanted to make that quick point. Sorry, Trevor.
No, it's great, Alex. Always welcome to hear your thoughts as usual.
Thank you.
Brandon, obviously we're just so appreciative of your time today and just the wisdom and advice and insight that you brought. to the table and for our listeners to be able to hear. If they've listened, if they've never heard of you until this episode, tell us where someone can learn more about yourself or the Imam Company.
Yeah, pretty much just Instagram. That'd be the only social media that I use. My personal account is Brandon M. Luckett. That's Brandon.m.Luckett with 2 T's. And then the Imam Company is the_Imam_company. We post a lot of workouts on there that you can grab for free. We've got daily programming for $19 a month. You get 13 workouts every single week. You can pretty much do them anywhere, to be honest. You need 2 dumbbells, kettlebell, box, do them at home. You got 2 body weight workouts a week plus 1 monostructural. And if you're looking to get back into like some hardcore, not really hardcore, but like hard training, I mean, challenging training, where we're really just seeking out efficiency of your time. It's a good place to look, but also so is any gym where you can go and be surrounded by a community of people who want to see you succeed.
I love that.
That's awesome. Guys, girls, go follow Brandon Luckett on Instagram and the Imam Company on Instagram. 2 follows you will not regret. You'll get a lot of educational value and good workouts. So listeners, thank you so much for the time today. Brandon, thank you for your time today. I know you're busy with the work schedule and the new unbroken rhythms that you have in life.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for today.
No, thank you all for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you found our conversation with Brandon interesting, we would love for you to share it with a friend or on social media. If you're new here and not plugged into the Holo Health community, the first place that you can get plugged in is on our Instagram at Holo Health. Remember that you are more than just physical, so make sure that you treat your health that way. We appreciate you more than you know and hope that you have a blessed day.